This is Jess Halliday reporting from IFT in Chicago. Now, for about the last 18 months, stevia has been on the lips of many in the food industry. I'm with one man who's known about this sweetener for about 28 years, considerably longer than most people. This is Jim May, who's the founder and CEO of SweetLeaf. Hi Jim, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Jess.
So Jim, can you explain to me, how did you first come across stevia?
Well, it's an interesting story, kind of long. After 15 years in the medical industry, I was introduced one day to a young man who had just returned from Paraguay, where he had been a Peace Corps worker. In the course of our conversation, he was making claims that the Guarani Indians had 3 rainforest herbs that they could make into a tea that would cure colds and flu in one day, which I didn't believe. When he couldn't get through to me, he finally opened his briefcase and pulled out a little bag of green leaves. And they each put one in their mouth and wanted me to take one. And I said, oh, no, I'm not putting some green leaf from Paraguay in my mouth. Anyway, they coaxed and finally convinced me, just put it to your lips and taste it. So I did, and it was sweet and delicious, and I put it in my mouth. And the longer I held it in my mouth, the sweeter it got, and it was a stevia leaf. So basically, after that, he pulled out all kinds of science and studies from Japan, which I quickly glanced through. And before the night was over, I had given him a check for my life savings to go back to Paraguay and send me stevia leaves.
But what did your wife say when you given away all your life savings?
She wasn't happy when I said, now we had 5 little children. And I had to say, honey, don't write any checks. I've given all our money away. What for? And when I told her this kid was going back to Paraguay to send me leaves, she thought I had lost my mind.
I imagine she did. What happened next?
Well, obviously we sold everything we owned over the next 3 years to keep this going. I had to go to Paraguay and work with the farmers, and actually I wanted to make sure that that leaf hadn't been dipped in something, so I went in the field to pick a leaf and taste it right off the plant. Delicious. And so anyway, I helped the farmers realize that I would buy their stevia leaves if they would grow them. I worked with the government, and we got everybody interested in stevia again. And then I used it in herbal teas and a dark concentrate that we could make just by cooking the leaves. And that's the way I first introduced it to the United States, 28 years ago.
And well, that was 28 years ago. So what happened next?
Well, of course, in the beginning, we couldn't. I started selling it as a sweetener, and then the FDA, after they approved it as a sweetener or told me I could sell it as a sweetener, changed their minds and wouldn't allow it. Finally, in what year was it? It was 1994 when DSHEA was passed by Congress. That meant we could sell it as a dietary supplement. So we began marketing stevia as a dietary supplement, tabletop sweetener. Mm-hmm. And of course, SweetLeaf became the leader in the category. We had about 80% of the business. In 2007, Cargill and Pepsi and Coke and Marathon could see the future of stevia. And so they announced that they were going to get it approved as a grass sweetener. And I decided, I can't allow that. I've got to do it. I was the first to bring it. I'm going to be the first grass.
But Jim, I've noticed you say stevia and I say stevia. This isn't just some American, British, English thing. Why do you say stevia?
Well, stevia actually is the correct pronunciation. It's Spanish. The Latin name is Stevia rebelliana bertoni. Stevia came to honor the Spanish botanist Peter James Esteve, who literally died in 1566, but was being honored, and so they named the plant after him and 2 other scientists.
So we've talked about the history of stevia. What's your vision for the future?
Stevia is the hottest thing in the sweetener industry throughout the world. It is going to take over because if stevia is properly extracted without all kinds of chemicals and ethanols and so forth, it's the most health-generating sweetener on earth. Has 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 glycemic index.
Thank you very much, Jim, for sharing that history with me. This is Jess Halliday reporting from IFT in Chicago.